Hello, this is Brian Hegney, instructor of Game and Interactive Media Design here at High Point University. Today we're going to talk about Inkscape to create vector art for characters. So let's go ahead and do that. You should have Inkscape on your computers. You should right now. And so let's go ahead and start Inkscape. I'm going to click the Start button, type in Ink, and you should get Inkscape. I have 0.92.4. I'm not sure what you guys have on your computer. Inkscape is one of my favorite vector art programs. Now, a lot of people use Illustrator. Personally, I find Illustrator just a lot more complicated. It's very powerful and robust, but if what we want to do is really just create vector art to create playable 2D game characters, Inkscape is going to be pretty helpful for us. So let's talk about what Inkscape is and what we can do. We are going to, in this course, we are going to start with ready-made 2D characters. And they can be anything you want. If you want to develop your own character, I'd love you to take my character design course, where we will spend an entire semester really learning about developing original characters. For right now, we are going to work with pre-existing characters. Now, just for fun, I'm going to go onto Google and just get a character off of the web, and I was already working with it earlier today. I really like this one, so I'm going to use it. It's a nice example. I love this person's artwork, and so I'm going to just copy that image. Now, I could also save that image to my hard drive, and let's do that. Fall game 3881, and I'm going to create a new folder in my game 3881 folder called 2D character start. And I'm going to create a folder called maybe downloads. And I'm going to rename this to a better JPEG name like 4 characters. All right. Now I did that. Now I also right-clicked and copied it, as you saw, right? I right-clicked this and said copy image. Because Inkscape is good enough, I can actually just hit Control-V and paste that image in there. If you do have an image you want to use on your hard drive, I'm going to delete that image, you can say File, Import, and I'm going to go find that. Oh, where did I put it? Under D drive, I think. D drive for Hegney, 2020 fall, game 3881. Yeah, there it is. Right, so I could have done that. And when you do that, it's going to ask if you want to embed it or link it. And this is a very common thing to understand in many types of software, is that if I embed it, that means my Inkscape document becomes a lot bigger. That JPEG or PNG, whichever it was that I'm importing in, it's now built into the file. If I just linked it, then however large that image is, it would be being read on my hard drive. So the Inkscape document would be small, and it would be reading the folder in my hard drive. Now the downfall to that is if you ever delete that image by accident in your hard drive, then it's gone in here. But you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and embed it. Image DPI, dots per inch, I'm just going to keep it from file, and that's okay. And there it is. Okay. Now let's go ahead and look at what's going on here in Inkscape. Number one, this is my document. I'm always going to have a document outline, and I can have anything else anywhere I want, but there's always going to be this document size. So for us, we're going to be creating a game character. So just thinking about the height of your character and how many pixels wide and how many pixels tall you want your Inkscape document to be. Now, on one hand, it almost doesn't matter, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But why we might consider size is because this particular character in the Unreal Engine's 2D template, 2D side-scroller template, the actual number of pixels of each rendering of the character is actually 256 by 256. And here we have a 1024 by 1024 sprite sheet of a run animation cycle. And 1024 divided by 4 is 256. Is that right? Yes, 256. So this particular character is 256 by 256. So you might think that when we're in Inkscape, we would actually want to set up our document. So I'm going to go to File, Document Properties, and a new window pops up, and we can actually control like what size. So here we have in the middle here our custom size. Well, if our units are pixels, if that's what I care about, and we might set this up to be 256 by 256. And so we have a 256 by 256 document. That's possible we could do that. We don't have to save anything. It's just Xing this out. But just so you know, this document properties has a lot of stuff that is helpful, like showing the border, right? Showing the page border. Yes, of course, I want to know where that page is. There's a border shadow. I kind of like it on. I may turn it off. I don't know. Border on top of the drawing. I particularly like that, actually. That allows me to see the border over my anything I have in my file. If I uncheck that, I lose the border. No, show me the freaking border. And of course, anti-aliasing, so we don't see any sort of checker patterns. Do I want the checker pattern background? No, for me, that really is too harsh. The reason why you'd use a checker pattern background is to really check your, check your alpha channels to make sure you're not including any colors that, are part of the white background. Okay, so let's go to, I don't know if there's anything else that I want to get to at the moment other than snapping. Snapping may get a little bit frustrating depending on what we're doing, because this is going to snap to particular points, but like it's going to snap to objects. Like when I move this rectangle, well, guess what? If I have another, I'm just going to use the Draw Rectangle tool to draw a rectangle right here and let go, and now go back to my Select and Transform tool. It's going to snap because I have snap to objects on. If I, let's see, snap only when closer than like so many pixels, right? Now it's not going to snap until I get super close, and that's not even that close. Wow, it's like, there it went. So you may want to play with these settings to suit. Just 20, is that what it is? Yeah. To suit yourself. Snapping to grid, snapping to guides. Okay. And I think that's all I want to go over right now. So we have our tools over here. Now the tools that we're going to start using are definitely the Selection and Transform tool, the arrow. We're definitely going to be using the Zoom tool, and the Zoom tool allows us to draw a little selection here to zoom in. We can zoom out by holding down Shift and drawing a selection, and that for some reason moves us out. Or we can just click, hold down Shift and left click, or we can let go of Shift and just left click and release with the Zoom tool, and that will help us zoom in and out. The other tool we're going to be using a lot that I'm going to start with in the first few lectures on this is the pen tool, the draw tool, the draw, Bezier, curves, and straight lines tool. We'll get into that a little later. Okay, the first thing I want to get before we really draw anything is, number one, I'm going to delete this box. I only drew that to show you snapping. And the next thing I'm going to do is show you these windows, okay? So there are these little windows to the right. Now, if you don't have them, it's possible you don't. Like, for instance, my layers window is right there. And if I click it, it shows layers. I have layer 1. And I can get rid of it by clicking the little arrow to the right of the layers text. And it actually stores it away in this little line here. And I can keep clicking it. And I can open all of them that are on this line, and now they can come in expandable little thingamajabbers, right? And if I click each one, it brings up the content above it. Now, if you don't have them, like let's say I drag this text and font and close it by accident, it is now lost from here. And I'd have to go actually and go up to text and click text and font and drag this back into here to, come on, can you do that? Hold on, let me, there I go. I just clicked the little arrow and now it, oh, hold on a moment. Okay, so I did try to do what I thought I was supposed to do and it wasn't working for some reason, but yes, you just drag it like this into here. You can see that little rectangle and let go, and now I have that text and font back up there. And when I click that little arrow, I can put all of these things away again. Text and font, there you are. The one that I don't have, oh no, I have it, is layers. Let's take a look at layers for a moment, because I'm going to want to start working on the organizing the layers right away. First off, let's pretend I want to start off with one of these characters. I'll start off with this guy. Oh, you know what? That alien or zombie, that's a zombie, looks so much fun. I'm going to start off with the zombie, and I'm just going to zoom in. If we want to start out with this guy, I'm going to want to kind of place it and not accidentally move it again. So if you've worked with Photoshop or any other software that has layers, like InDesign, even Premiere and Audacity to a certain point, you probably understand layers. This is how it works in Inkscape. I'm going to rename this base. So I'm just going to double click layer 1 and type base. Oh, and if you don't have layers, I'm sorry, that's what I actually wanted to show. If you don't have layers for some reason, it should show up by default. You'd go into the layer menu option and choose layers. And now I can drag that back into here. Yay. All right, so this is called base. And I'm going to click this plus button to create a new layer. And I'm going to call this layer zombie head. Zombie underscore head. And I'm going to choose the position will be above current. That's fine. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is lock the base layer by clicking that lock icon. And so what that does, now there's no way I can use the select tool to select that layer or anything on that layer. So that's helpful. Now I'm not going to accidentally move it. And you can see that zombie head is selected here, and it's highlighted, and so that's the active layer. So anything I create goes into the zombie head layer. Now if I click base and try to draw something, guess what? I can't because it's locked. So that's also a nice feature. Let me go back to zombie head. And when I start drawing here, like I'm going to start to draw things on the zombie head layer. And if I turn off zombie head, I can turn off all of those layers or objects that are on zombie head. And if I turn off visibility for the base layer, it's the same thing for the base layer. You can still turn off a locked layer. It's very helpful. And I guess the last thing that I can show you is this cool opacity layer, or tool. And if I change the opacity of certain layers, right? So this opacity is for the zombie head layer. Just like when I click on base, it's a new opacity. You can left click and drag that down. But I want that to be 100%. I want zombie head to be 100%. And I want to actually delete these squares. And in the next video, we are going to start drawing our zombie head. All right. See you then. Bye.